Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining me tonight. Thank you and welcome to A Place for Healthy Conversations. I am Ms. Empower, and as always, so thankful to be here with you guys for another Let's Talk About It Tuesday. I'm going to give just 1 minute for a few more people to come in, and then I'll read the Serenity Prayer that I always start off with. While we're waiting, I'm just gonna say this is our last episode and part of the mini series, the 5-part mini series for Let's Talk About Manipulation. So tonight will be the final one. Um, Looking forward to recapping and then jumping into the last part, which is moving forward. I feel like I've talked about each part and broke it down, but I'm going to recap before I go into the last part. But again, I'm going to give a minute for a few more people to log on with us tonight. Just want to thank everyone that has stayed for the entire series. It was something that was near and dear to my heart that I felt that it was important to talk about and break down and be a help to those out there that are possibly going through it and not knowing it, or going through it and have no one to talk about, no one to sound off to, going through it and questioning whether they're going through it or not. So, well, we're going to jump into that after a while as well. If you have a topic that you would like to see talked about on Let's Talk About It Tuesday, let me know. You know, we really do dive into relationship conversations. Um, I want to try to find something that'll be a little more upbeat, maybe a little comical, and not so. This was a little heavy, I'm sure, for many. And a lot of times when you start talking about these type of topics, it triggers a person who's going through it. They could be in denial of going through it, or just feel like they have no way out. And so it becomes a trigger, and they may not be able to watch the entire thing. So I would definitely like to come up with something else that's a little lighter for the next Let's Talk About It Tuesday. So if you have any ideas, you can definitely put them in the comments, or you can email me at Ms. Empower, that's MZZ as in zebra, EMPOWER at gmail.com. I can also be found on Facebook at, what is my name? Kim Empower. And on Instagram at Ms. Empower. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the Serenity Prayer. We're starting to get a few more people in. Let me know if you can hear me pretty clear. There were some complaints last week of it breaking up, and I'm not sure what was going on with my mic. But I do apologize for that. Type in Serenity. There we go. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace, not as I would have it. Hold on, I've just passed up something. Accepting hardship as a pathway to peace, taking as Jesus did this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it. Trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever and the next. Amen. So for me, it's really important to read that prayer because it kind of ties into what we're talking about. A lot of times, there are things that are going on in our lives that we have no control over. And there's really nothing that we can do about it. But there a lot of times are things that we can do that are in our control. And so we just have to learn the difference of what we can and cannot control. Um, so that's why it's important that I read that every weekend. It's something that I try to make sure that I read often as well because we sometimes really get caught up in the different things that we are experiencing, um, things that are just so overwhelming for us. And when it's something that's beyond our control, all we can do is pray about those things. And those things that we can control and change, we should be working on changing them. So, this prayer I really appreciate because it seems like it makes me stronger every time that I read it. And so, I just wanted to make sure that I share that with my audience, during this mini series because we are talking about some subjects that are very heavy. So, whether you've been through it, whether you know someone that has been through it, whether you've not been through it before, it does not matter. You should know about it. You should know what manipulation is, the signs, the stages. You should be aware. These are things that you should educate yourself with. So when we start talking about, I'm gonna move a little closer because every time I try to focus in on the comments, my eyes be like, nope. Hey, Real. Thanks for logging in with us. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time for however long you're able to stay with us tonight. So we're gonna recap what we've already talked about. As I said in the beginning of the video, this is our last week on Let's Talk About Manipulation. We've gone through the whole process. I've broken it down with the definition, the stages, the signs, the tactics. Let me see, what else did I have? The reasons why, and then tonight we're going to talk about how to move forward and get out of it. So we talked about the definition, and we all know that manipulation is one partner controlling the other partner with emotional tactics, right? And it's like trying to take control of that person's life emotionally. And it's very draining for anyone that has never experienced it before. It's really real. Manipulation is also something that is used by molesters, human traffickers, when they are preying on their victims. They go through these different stages, which we're going to jump into. There are 4 different stages. And so the first stage is the targeting stage. And it's just like it sounds. You target someone. You target someone who's vulnerable, someone that's empathetic, someone that seems like a really easy target to pull closer to you, right? When you meet them, you already know what it is that you are planning to do. You already know what the assignment is. And you're just looking for that specific person. So that target, you're getting to know them. You're learning everything about them, learning what makes them tick, what makes them happy, what makes them sad, if they're close to their family or not. Do they have friends? Do they feel alone? Just whatever it is that you need to know about them to carry out whatever it is that you want to carry out. This makes it easy for you to manipulate this person because you have boxes that you need to check off. Yeah, they check off this box, they check off that box. Yeah, I think I'll be able to use this person for that. That's the target. Okay. So they get that target prepared for the next stage, which is the friend forming stage. And that is where they make sure that you feel very comfortable with them. You're very trusting of them. You feel safe. You feel like you could tell them anything. They can, at that time, start trying to isolate you from, your family, your friends, so you can feel like you really, really are by yourself and that nobody cares about you but them. Like, they're your only friend and you mean so much to them. They make all the time in the world for you. They buy you gifts. They do whatever it is they think that it takes to pull you in as a friend, right? And so you don't even think about any other friend that you've ever had now because this person is making so much time for you. So then they're getting you prepared for that next stage, which is the loving relationship stage, which is the opposite, as we talked about before, is the opposite of loving, because now they are pulling themselves away from you. They're very distant. They are now punishing you, and you've done nothing. And you're questioning yourself because they've shaped and they molded you to believe that they were this one particular type of person. So that when they changed up on you, you're now questioning yourself and you think that the treatment that you're receiving from them is warranted. Like they deserve to do that to you because you've done something. You had to do something because this is not the person that they have been. So it has to be something that you have done. So that is the loving relationship stage. Now they have you almost to the point where you are begging them never to leave you. They have you trying to do everything you can to make it work because you can't, for the life of you, understand what you possibly did. Because they always do things like they don't talk to you. When they do, they're rude towards you. They just stop being the person that they were in those first two stages. So you did something. And now you're isolated from everybody. And they did that on purpose because they wanted you to feel alone. So there may be times that they are nice to you so that you won't leave. And we're going to jump into that a little more as we go on. So they're getting you prepared for that last stage for those of us that stay. And that is the abusive stage. So it starts off with emotional abuse. And if you stay long enough, it could turn into physical abuse. So those are the 4 stages. And as I said before, targeting, friend forming, loving relationship stage, and abusive stage. We also talked about the different signs of manipulation. And all of you should be familiar with the word gaslighting because you hear that a lot now. People are talking about gaslighting. Gaslighting is when your partner, the person that is manipulating you, will make it seem like you don't know what you're talking about. Like they try to confuse you, make things seem like it's not a reality for real. So, as I was saying before, they switched up on you and you see it, but they try to make it seem like, no, that's not what happened. It's like, whatever it is you're thinking it is, no, you're tripping. No, I didn't change up. You did something. So they don't take accountability for anything. And that's one of the signs that's really a big red flag. When people stop taking accountability, even when you're standing there looking at it with your own 2 eyes, and they're telling you that's not true, and you know what you just saw. that's a red flag. They're not going to hold themselves accountable. So it's the gaslighting. It causes you to do a doubt of your own reality because they don't want you to believe what you know is true. They want you to think that you are confused. They say stuff like, that never happened, you're too sensitive, you have a terrible memory, you're crazy, I'm sorry you think that I hurt you. Like they try to disregard what you're feeling. Your feelings are not valid and they mean nothing. You should have known how I would react. So whatever it was that they did and you call them out on it, it's your fault because you should know that that's how they're going to react. Also, it's love bombing. So they could do something to you and then they turn around and give you flowers or take you to dinner or they're telling you how much that they love you because they are trying to cover up what it was that they just did to you. That's very manipulative because that a lot of times is what keeps people in an abusive relationship because of the love bombing. It's like they abuse you and then now everything is so great until it's not again. Because if it happened once, it'll happen again. So yeah, those are a couple of the signs, of manipulation. And then part 3, we talked about what to look for in a relationship. And so that for me would be the tactics that they use in a relationship. Like making you feel guilty, and you haven't done anything. 1 second. So I want to make sure I have. Another one is like we talked about the isolation, stonewalling. So with the stonewalling, it's like they're very cold towards you. It's like you mean nothing to them. Nothing you say to them means anything. It's like they'll be looking at you like this. It's like, so, they play victim. They move very fast in the relationship process because they're trying to hurry up and get through it so they can get you to where they want you to be. All the while, love bombing. They do not meet your emotional needs because they are not emotional people. They're not empathetic people. So they definitely don't meet your needs. Deflection. Any conversation you have about something, they're going to deflect the conversation. It's going to be put back on you, which is another word for blame shifting. We talked about the isolation, the controlling behavior, like they control every part of your life. They tell you when it's okay to go hang out with your friends, when it's okay or it's not okay. Working out, you can only go if I go, that type of thing. Playing hot and cold, like you just never know what you're going to get. They're cool with you one moment and the next moment they're not. Or you were cool when you went to sleep, but when you woke up, it was just a whole different scenario. And it's just like you question yourself, like, what did I do? Because this makes absolutely no sense. So you're always questioning yourself. There's a lot of hurt, emotional hurt, a lot of silent treatment, which is their way of punishing you like you're a kid. And you know what? The sad thing, guys, this just does not just happen in romantic relationships. This happens in parenting relationships as well. So when we start talking about why people grow up and become manipulative, that has been a part of their life for as long as they can remember. You know, they had parents that were manipulative towards them, you know, and they grew up with this type of thing. So that's what they know. So they go on into life with that. And when you call them out, I've not ever heard of a person that would take accountability for that if they're manipulative. You know, it would take a lot of going to counseling. First of all, they would have to admit to it. And then they would go to counseling and they would literally have to reprogram the way that they think. And that's not the easiest thing to do when you are an adult. But if it's something that you really want to do, you can. If you put your mind and your heart to it. So you know, we talked about the causes of, the causes and why, people are that way. Um, and a lot of times, like I said, they do it, and we talked about this. I believe it was last week we had this conversation. You know, they do it to get what they want, to protect their ego, because their ego is all up in there. Trust and believe. Somebody asked me why. I don't understand why people play games like this. Why are they manipulative in these relationships? And I said, it's because their ego is rewarded. That is why. It rewards their ego. It makes them feel in control. It makes them feel better about themselves. It helps their insecurities, because they're very insecure people. And so when they are in control, it kind of soothes their insecurities that they have. So those are the reasons. And they a lot of times they do it to, of course, to avoid taking responsibility for something, because they're not going to take accountability. They're going to deflect and put it off on the other person. So these are their actions. Like they punish, they control, they dominate their partner. It just boosts their ego and makes them feel like more than what they really are. Not to say that they're not about anything. We're all human, and I feel like we could all change if that's what we wanted to do. But they seek pity, attention, and selfish motives. And they live for just really draining their partner emotionally. And it's really sad that it makes them feel good about themselves. Rail says everything that type of person does is all about control. Absolutely. And that control feeds their ego and makes them feel so much better about themselves, because for whatever reason, I don't know what they've experienced in their lives that makes them into that type of person. But it hurts, because the fact that you want to hurt someone else and you hurting someone else does not bother you. That's really sad. So I wanted to go ahead tonight and jump in. So this video probably won't be as long as my other videos normally are. But if you have any questions, please make sure that you put them in the comments so I can answer them. Before I jump into it, I just want to make sure that I did not leave off anything. Okay. So I wanted to jump into how to move forward. So you first of all want to recognize that you are being controlled. So you have to literally sit there with your thoughts and admit to yourself that you are being controlled, because now it's time for you to take control. So you want to uh, think about if your partner is taking over every aspect of your life, like we talked about before. Are they in control of when you can leave the house, who you can hang with, who you can talk to on the phone? Just everything. Every aspect of your life is that person in control of it. If they have angry outbursts that turn into "I love you and I need you. I don't want you to leave me," and then in the next moment they're back to being mean again. That is something to seriously think about. Um, if you tried to leave before but they threatened you, that's something to think about. If there's extreme jealousy, whew, and it turns into tit for tat. How many of you ever experienced that? Because that right there is the most childish thing ever. And I experienced that. That is crazy. And that's all I have to say. It's the that feeling, and you get to saying to yourself, okay, did this just happen? Did I just hear what I thought I heard? And yeah, that is exactly what I heard and what I saw. It makes no sense. If that person is so jealous of something that you are doing that they become tit for tat to make themselves feel better because they're jealous of what it is that you're doing, that's a problem. That does not just happen in romantic relationships. That happens in friendships. That happens in relationships with children and parenting. It's really a sad thing. But if you're seeing that, that is a part of them controlling you. Hey, sis. It's sad, but parents manipulate their children. Absolutely. Absolutely. I know so many people that have experienced that in their childhood, and it's really something hard to deal with when they get into adulthood. You know, it's overwhelming for them, to know that that's how they grew up, with the parent constantly doing that. And it created things in them like anxiety, it really messed with their self-esteem. Their mental status, period, is not probably where it should be because of the manipulation received from their parent. Because why would you expect that from your parent? Um, think of all the reasons you need to leave. So let's say this: you're going to regain your peace. You know, you get to be your own person again. You're free to enjoy your friends and family. You'll raise your self-esteem back up. You'll stop living in fear. You'll learn just how much you love and appreciate yourself. You get the opportunity to love on yourself. You know, those are things you could think about, if you need a reason to leave. Like if it's something that will motivate you to move forward and come out of it, and not continue staying in it and putting up with it. Think of yourself. At some point, we have to put ourselves first. So I'm gonna call you Mother Love. Queen Love says mother-in-laws do it with their sons, especially when the mother-in-law has an issue with the wife or feels her daughter-in-law has replaced her. Yes, they have a whole show now called Mama's Boy, and you see that for sure. I remember dating a guy so many years ago in high school, and his mom absolutely did not like me because he loved me so much and she saw it. It took for her to tell me years later how she felt and why she was the way she was towards me, because I, of course, had never done anything to her. But she tried to be really in control of our relationship. Like, she would say, "Oh, you can't use my car," if it had anything to do with him coming to get me, or coming to see me, or it was like she didn't want me around. And I mean, and it was obvious because I was not treated nicely at all. And it took a while before we were able to have actual one-on-one conversation, and she was able to tell me how she was feeling. But that was her son, her only son, and that's just how she felt. She felt like she knew how much he loved me, and that bothered her. And I remember feeling like, this is weird, like, for her to act this way towards me. And then when she said that to me, I was like, oh, that's okay. I didn't really know how to receive it, but I was thankful for her telling me that. But it has kind of helped me in raising my own son, because what I will never do is manipulate my son and his wife. I'm not going to get in your stuff. Now, if you guys come and you talk to me, I'm going to always say, I want both of you all to come talk to me, and I'm going to love on my daughter-in-law just like I love on my son, because I see so much unhealthy. But that's a whole nother discussion, y'all. And I need to get off of that, because that happened to me earlier today in a post. But I have to learn how to stay on the subject. But yes, that is so true. It is a lot of that going on. So much that they had to create a TV show about it. So you want to make sure that you execute your plan. So you want to think about what it is that you want to say to this person. And honestly, you don't want anything long and drawn out, because somebody who's manipulative, they don't really care about what you're going to say anyway. They're going to do their best to manipulate you into staying. So Rel says, I am fully aware of one time manipulating my daughter, and my God, it was not good. Thank God for deliverance. It was a good thing to recognize that mistake and be cleansed from it. Lord, never again. So, since you say that, let me ask you, what made you want to do that? Did you feel like you needed to be in control to protect? Because when I think back to the person that I was dating, maybe she was protecting him. I don't know. Maybe she thought he would get hurt or whatever it was. I don't know. I'm just asking. I'm trying to get inside of a mother's head to understand what makes them do that. I know when you're raising your kids and they're younger and you try to protect them from certain things, like, I know, okay, my daughter wanted to date, and I was like, no, you need to be this age when you start dating. So I already had told her how old she had to be, but she wanted to date early. And this person that she wanted to date was a little older than her. And I felt like they would have been too experienced. So that I was in control of. And it was just like, no, you all are allowed to be friends, so he could come by while I'm here. But no, it's too soon for you to date. And that's just how I felt. And it was me protecting her. And honestly, guys, it was me protecting her from what happened to me. I moved too fast in life. And so that meant that bled onto her, which is a whole nother conversation, which we kind of touched on that a little bit before. But I'm just wondering, was it from a standpoint of you protecting her? Because a lot of times we will try to do what we can to protect our kids and keep them from experiencing possibly something that we experienced. Oh, so Rail said it was controlling her. I thought from a situation I didn't want her to be in, not having full disclosure of the situation. So I based my thoughts and opinion on not knowing. Okay. Yeah. As parents, we'll do whatever we can to protect our kids. And sometimes we got to sit down and think about exactly what we're. And I would say I try to protect every last one of my kids. Like my son, I never wanted that phone call to come get him from jail or to come view his body. So I was very strict on my kids. Controlling though, I wonder if they would consider that as controlling. I'm going to have to ask my son, and this will be a whole nother conversation on here. But as parents, you try to do things to protect. But when we start talking about manipulation, I kind of see it differently. When you're trying to manipulate them to do whatever it is that you want them to do, I'm gonna have to think on that, y'all. Yeah, because that's kind of taking me in a different thought process. And we'll revisit this another time. But good comments, ladies. I appreciate you commenting. Because I kind of made us dive a little deeper than where we were on the parents. I feel like that has to be a whole discussion by itself, because there's a lot that we can say about parenting. And that is something that I do want to discuss. I know we talked about the importance of a mother's love, a mother's presence, a mother just being there. We have not talked about the importance of a father. So I definitely want to have that discussion. And we just need to have a discussion, period, for parents, and the decisions that they make. But I have to first do the one on the fathers. So where was I at? I said, plan what you want to say, get straight to the point. You don't want to continue talking, have no long drawn out anything, because they're continuing trying to figure out how to manipulate you into staying. Plan how you'll say it. The method is very important. You don't want it to turn into a drawn out argument. Come up with a plan. I just said that. Come up with a plan to leave. Oh, no, I didn't. Come up with a plan to leave if you are living together, if you are married and in the household together. So much comes into that, though, when you're married, but you really do have to make plans for what you're doing. It would be nice if it could be a mutual decision, but a lot of times that is not the case. In the relationship, in your mind, though, right? You got to start with that. Because if you end it in your mind, it's really a strong chance that they can't manipulate you into staying. Okay, Real, thanks for joining. I appreciate you joining in and having something to say tonight. That means everything. Hey, Gail. So next, you want to make sure you execute your plan. So, Gail, we're on the last part of let's talk about manipulation. We're talking about how to move forward. So we're talking about executing the plan. So you want to be firm, straight to the point. Keep it short, as we just talked about. Keep your distance. Don't allow them to manipulate you. And make sure that you can, execute it and walk away. Follow through. So when you do decide to leave that situation, make sure that you avoid contact with this person, because you have to give yourself an opportunity to deal with what just happened. Because when you're so vulnerable, you're vulnerable at that point. Trust and believe you are. That's why it's not good to jump from this relationship to the next one, because you have to deal with what you just experienced, because you were just in an abusive relationship, whether it was emotional or physical. It makes no difference. If it was emotional, it's a lot to deal with. You have to unpack these things that you're feeling, because when you get quiet and to yourself, you're going to start remembering different things that they said to you to try to break you. Those things are going to come to you. And it might not all come the same day. It just might be one day you're just riding your bike or walking, and all of a sudden the thought of something that was said is going to come. Let me explain something to you. When you are talking to someone or you are arguing with someone, and when you say things to them, they may not even remember at that moment. But whatever you said is going to stick. They're going to remember it when they get quiet. That's why if I'm in a disagreement with someone, I'm going to say things that I need for them to remember. I'm not going to say things that's going to cut them down. I'm going to work my hardest not to. I'm going to say things that's going to make them think about what they did. Because that's what I need to stick. It's not going to benefit me, but it's going to benefit somebody down the line, because I don't want someone else to experience what I experienced. So that is what I do personally. So if they've said all these type of negative things to you, you're going to remember these things one thing at a time, little by little, and you're going to have to unpack it, and you're going to have to deal with it. You're going to have to face it. You're going to have to deal with it. And that's why the other things that I tell you later will help you with that. So, avoid contact. You don't have time for that, because at that point, it's time for you to work on yourself. Don't be tempted to change your mind. That's why I say avoid contact, because you're going to have those moments where you miss that person, regardless of what they said and did. And it just really depends on you as a person, what happens when you start feeling like that. That might make somebody angry that they feel that way, because they feel like that person was never worthy of being missed because of what they put you through. But then someone else may think about the amount of time that they've been together. They're focused more on the time that they were with that person and not focus on the quality. So often, quantity overrides quality in our relationships nowadays. We see a lot of people celebrating the years that they've been together, but you never hear people talk about what has happened in those years. They celebrate the years, but they don't think about what they are going through. And it's not to say that you got to say happy anniversary, happy 10th anniversary to me and my husband. To my husband. He did this, he did that. No, that's not what I'm saying when I say that. I'm saying we focus more on how long we've been with that person, and that overrides how we're being treated. We'll stay in a relationship because of the amount of years that we've been together. And not even think about what we are experiencing, how drained we are emotionally, how much abuse we are suffering, and that we have been suffering for years, how unhappy we both have been with one another. That's what I'm saying. That's all that I'm saying. It's more focused on the time and not the quality. Take time during that time when you're ready. To spend time with friends and loved ones, that really will pour into you, because what you need is nurturing at that time in your life, because you are really going through something. Um, Emotional abuse is really something to deal with. Um, Stay busy, you know, get out there, exercise, go walk, go run, go skating, bowling, whatever it is that you can think of that you enjoy doing, start doing those things, when you're ready. Because somebody that has been in emotional abuse, it takes a minute to want to get back out there and be around people, because you are really dealing with um, emotions, So decide what makes you happy, what brings you the most joy in your life. Do some traveling, whatever it is. Um, so that's something to think about. What type of things can you do to stay busy? If anybody wants to type in comments, what you think you could do to stay busy when you've just come out of something. Right. It's not, it's something. Like it really attacks your mind, your thought process. You start to think about, okay, was it me? You still go through these things. And so you have to take the time to unpack, and so you can heal. And so that is why I always talk about meditation. Like, I remember, and I've been transparent that I've experienced this in my life, the emotional abuse before, one time in a relationship. And I prayed and asked God, I was like, Lord, how do I become Zen? How do I become peaceful? I need my peace back because it's missing and I don't like how I'm feeling. And he downloaded in my spirit meditation. Well, I had tried meditation many times before, and it never worked for me because I always went to sleep. And I was like, well, Lord, I've tried that before and I can't because I'm going to go to sleep. So, downloaded in my spirit, you are love, you are peace. So, as I would lay and listen to the sound of water, I would just keep saying that over and over again in my mind. And so every once in a while, I would get off track and start thinking about what actually brought me to meditation. And then I would go right back when I realized that that's what I was doing. I would go right back to I am love, I am peace. But for you, it's whatever it is for you, whatever it is that you have to say to yourself to stay on track. A lot of people use the Bible scriptures to meditate with, and that's awesome to do. I have not gotten there yet. I'm still doing the same thing that I've been doing, but I feel like I'm at that point to start making changes now. But that was the key for me to meditate and actually get something out of it. That is how I was able to heal. And after healing in that aspect, then I was ready to be around people who I loved and who I knew who loved me. And so I just invited a few people to come and surround me with love that I could be around, laugh with, have a good time. And I wasn't ready to be outside socializing. Like, I would go exercise and stuff, that's different. But I don't have to talk to people. I could speak and keep going. So that was a little different. But you have to find what works for you. I'm not going to say what worked for me may work for you, but I'll guarantee that meditation will work. It will help get you where it is that you are trying to go, and to get through the hurt that you have experienced in this process. It is a lot to think about. And lastly, think of how much happier that you are. now that you have left that emotional abusive relationship. You know, I will sit here and say that it is not easy. It's not an easy process, but it's worth it. It is worth it. And even um, after getting through the meditation, which was the first part for me to start getting it together, and it was one more thing, I would listen to Soak Stream, which I have it linked in the description of this video. They have so many different type of healing videos that you can just lay and listen to, and I still to this day listen to that at night before I go to bed, or listen to it in the morning before I log on for work, because it helps to ease my mind, and it feeds my mind with positivity, which is needed when you're dealing with coming out of an emotional abusive relationship, and that's honest. So, like I was saying before, I'm not gonna say it's easy, but it's worth it, guys. It's worth it to feel free. It's worth it to feel self love again. It's worth it just to have yourself again, because you felt like you were starting to lose yourself. All those things that you experience in that, when you get out of it, you start to get back to yourself again, but it takes time, and you have to do the necessary things to heal, you know. And one thing I want to say, please know, regardless of what you've experienced in your life, you are amazing. I don't care what any person has ever said to you, about you, or whatever it is. You're amazing. And take your time and build on yourself, love on yourself. Keep doing the things that it takes to grow. Because coming out of something like that, it will push you into growth as long as you do what you need to do for yourself. Because it's a learning experience, it's a lesson. I was able to do this 5-part series, and I will tell you this. When I was preparing for this, I did research, because I always want to make sure that I'm giving my audience everything that they need. I did the research, guys, put it on paper, but a majority of the time, I didn't even need the paper except to stay on track, because I experienced it. This was my experience, and I want to help as many people as I can to avoid it, or if you're in it, to come out of it. And when you come out of it, to be able to move forward. So, with that being said, guys, just believe in who you are, and know who you are, know whose you are. Keep your prayers going. You know, ask God for whatever it is that you need to ask Him for. Give Him His scriptures back to Him. Whatever His promises are in those scriptures, give it back to Him when you're praying. So let me see if there are any comments. Okay. So I am trying to figure out a new topic for the following Tuesday. I would like it to be light, because this was a little heavy for the last, I'm going to say 6 weeks, because we missed a week because I had gotten sick. So it was supposed to be a 5-week thing, but it wound up being 6. So I am ready to start something new, something a little lighter. If you have anything in mind, please let me know. Okay, with that being said, I'm going to give like 1 minute to see if anybody's going to put something in the comments, because I know it takes a minute. We have like a delay. If there are any comments, any questions, feel free to put them in there. I hope that this mini series has blessed someone. Even if you've not experienced it, but who knows, you may come across somebody that has experienced this and you remember something that I said and you were able to tell them, share that with them. Um, don't forget, SoapStream is linked in the description. You will not be disappointed. Okay, guys, it seems like there are no other comments or questions. I appreciate you all for listening. I appreciate you all for commenting and being a part of the discussion. I look forward to talking with you guys on next Tuesday for Let's Talk About It Tuesday. Have a great rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend. And don't forget that you're amazing. This has been another episode of Let's Talk About It Tuesday on A Place for Healthy Conversation. And I am Ms. Empower. Have a great day.